Okay,
Oh my
we are
gosh. Are we live?
live. We are live on Twitch. Hopefully, I'm refreshing here. Twitter and even YouTube, which I just connected. I have like two YouTube
Wow.
subscribers, but why not? Might as well put it there. Put it there as well. Okay, let me just refresh Twitch. But yeah, let me actually make a little banner for you here. Welcome to Pop Up Chat, everyone.
Ooh,
If this is your first time here, Pop Up Chat is really just a chance where uh, people from marketing, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, just all of these amazing people that I've met virtually this year in 2020. We've had some DMs saying, oh my gosh, we should totally do a Zoom just to get to know each other better. And I started doing a few of those and I realized that I was having these incredible conversations with people and I felt kind of selfish. Why am I the only one hearing all these amazing things about these people that I'm meeting? So I might as well stream it
yeah.
and welcome everyone. So, yeah. So today's guest, as you can see, is Michelle King. Everyone say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Let's see if anyone's here. Let's check the comments. Um, but yeah, I don't even remember how long ago we connected, but you
It
have
was
been
March.
March, yeah, right when right
It
when
was
everything
right.
was going south. We needed
Yeah.
it. So,
That's when I started tweeting, really, like when I really got
uh-huh.
into it
Well, good,
because
good.
of you.
Oh gosh. Well, you don't have to toot my horn there, but if you want to go there, sure. Um, yeah. So did you stumbled across Pop Chat then, or I don't really
It
know.
was actually Matt Kobach's birthday. I
Oh, okay.
retweeted him,
Mhm.
but I think, or no, he retweeted me. And then I was like, oh, wow, this is how Twitter works because it was like
Yeah.
all these impressions, you know what I mean? And then I think you had commented on that thread, and then I started following you, and then got into Pop Chat
Well, look at
and really
that.
marketing Twitter, all of it.
And then
I
something
know,
happened
right?
along the way where we realized that you love Prince and you have a super cool story there. You want to tell everyone your Prince story? It's like a
Yes.
once in a lifetime kind of
So
story.
that's like the main story I go to, and actually when I started writing this year, because I was like, just needed to start, everybody's storytelling and
Mhm.
writing and all that. And I was like, well, I'll just write that story as like a first blog or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
I was in Prince's Super Bowl halftime show. I was not on stage. I still think like, should I have just gone up on stage? My uncle actually told me I should have jumped on stage. That would have been my
Right.
15 minutes of fame. But then I think back about like how awful that would have been.
But again, I mean,
But
once in a
yeah, it was cool.
lifetime, still pretty cool experience. That was what,
Yeah.
2007,
And
I
it's
want to say?
evergreen content. 2000, yeah, 2007. So
Wow.
crazy. Super
Yeah.
fun.
It might have been the best Super Bowl performance of all time, a lot of people say. Let's see. There we go. Um,
I'm biased,
well,
but yes.
what was so iconic about that
Oh,
performance,
look at the
as you
banner.
know. Yeah, I spelled it right, right? I got your handle right, I hope. Um, yeah, what was so iconic about that performance was the rain, right?
Yeah. Because it
And the
actually looked purple. Like we had these little flashlights that like had a purple light on it. But
mhm.
then when he was singing Purple Rain at the end, we had to like, do the flat, and it was like, oh my God, like it actually everything looked purple. It was so
Yeah.
cool.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what? So oh yeah, go.
No,
Yep.
go ahead, go ahead. I wanna hear more about this.
Well,
You're the
when
cool
I
story.
started writing the blog about it, I started
Mhm.
looking at like really I have like a half written blog about the marketing side of it because there's some really good like commentary, documentary things about that performance.
Mm,
But so much is like all of his guitars he used, the clothes he
yes,
was wearing, because he was wearing like the Miami Dolphin colors. It was really
yes.
like when you look at it from that angle, it actually is really cool. Like how you
Mhm.
set up your big event, it's
Yeah.
huge.
I don't
Yeah,
wanna
it was
spoil
cool.
it for anyone, but I guess I kinda will. I've been to Paisley Park, which was
Oh,
really
you told me
cool.
that.
Yeah, I went there
It must be
gosh,
awesome.
I went there on a business trip, and I don't know, we wrapped up at, like, 3 o'clock. I didn't have a flight out until that evening,
Yeah.
and I was like, "I'm just gonna go to Paisley Park. If anything, I'm just going by myself, but whatever." But the 2 girls that I
That's
was out there
awesome.
having a meeting with grew up in Minnesota and had never been. And they were like, "You know what? We'll go with
Oh my
you." So
gosh.
the 3 of us went and we saw his outfit from from a Super Bowl halftime show, and it's actually like at
That's
the
so cool.
end. That's the final thing that they show. They have it on the screen, like replaying. But yeah,
Oh, that's so neat.
I really
Is
became.
it still open? Can you still go there?
I want to say I thought I saw in quarantine something about them doing something with some protocols, but I'm not sure. I really hope so. I hope
Yeah.
so. But
Yeah.
it's so huge that I would think they could do it social distanced, but who knows?
Yeah.
So,
I know. Who
but
knows anymore now, right?
right. I remember it was crazy when we went. The first thing they have you do is they give you this pouch with a lock on it to put your phone in because they don't allow pictures. So you have to walk around and
Really?
yeah, you can't take any pictures, but we saw so many of his guitars, his outfits, his home studio,
Yeah.
where the Purple Rain, I'm pretty
That's
sure
gotta be so cool.
part of the video was filmed there, or maybe it was just where he rehearsed it, but yeah,
That's
just a
awesome.
really special experience. I couldn't take pictures till I got to the gift shop. That
What
was
year
it.
did you go? What year was it in?
2018.
Oh, so not that long ago.
Yeah, pretty recently.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, Prince was brilliant. Gone too
Yeah,
soon
he
for sure.
was.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, definitely one of the best Super Bowl halftime shows. I mean, some people are saying that Shakira and J-Lo might have topped it, which is hard to believe that that was this year. But
I know, right? That
yeah,
was seems like forever ago. I like
I,
that. I think that was a good show for the time, right? Like you're and the know your audience. You're in Miami, right? That was in
yes,
Miami this year again, right? Right?
it was. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I didn't realize that parallel. Yeah,
Yeah.
both. So I guess you could say Miami puts on a great, legendary halftime show. Always one of the best.
The cool
Um,
thing about that though is like I had just moved to Florida,
mhm.
and like 6 months later, I remember like calling my family and being like, "Hey, I'm going to be in the halftime show."
Yeah. Remind me how that ended up happening, right? It was a friend of yours that was
She took dance
rehearsing.
lessons in like Pompano Beach, and I guess
Mhm.
like whenever there's performances, Miami, there's always something going on. Whenever there's performances, they just call up dance studios and it's like, bring
Yeah.
your students. We need like 2,000 people, and
Oh.
they just recruit people that way. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and
it's
she called.
like I wish I had done more things like that, I guess, back in the day, but
Mhm. No, I mean,
now there's this.
that's
So
bucket list worthy, yeah. I don't think I'll ever do anything that cool, so that's a really cool story. Um, oh, Jacqueline saying Bruno had a better halftime
that's
show.
my sister.
Oh,
That's my
okay. Hi,
sister, Jacqueline,
Jacqueline.
right there.
Can someone please tell us where Bruno Mars is? I miss Bruno Mars. Hey, legend.
Like,
Yeah, I don't
yeah, like he hasn't, like, as far as like music wise, like where is he?
music, anything.
I
Like,
don't
I
know.
don't
That's a
even
good
know if he's
point.
on Twitter or what. I feel like we haven't heard from him in forever. But an Usher halftime
Yep.
show would be cool.
Usher.
I know
What now, Usher?
he's got a Vegas residency coming up in July, I want to say.
Ooh, is that where we're gonna have pop chat? What do we?
Yeah,
What's the pop
pop
chat
chat
convention?
retreat. Yeah. Convention. That makes it sound like it's going to actually be
That's
structured.
gonna be
It's
great.
just going to be all of us running wild on the
Totally.
strip, basically.
Yep. Drinking aviation gin.
Yeah, the usual. I mean, we earned it after a year like this. Yeah, I would love to see Bruno Mars live. I I
Oh,
thought
me
I heard that
too.
he was supposed to have a residency for a bit, or maybe he experimented with that or something. I would
I
definitely go
don't
see
know,
him.
but I remember he was down here, I think 2017, but the tickets were so much money. Like
Mm,
even for like nosebleed, they were like $600 or something a seat.
yeah.
It's a
Yikes.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for concerts to come back in general.
Oh my God, I
Um,
know, right?
I feel pretty lucky. My last concert experience was March 7th, I think it was, when I went to Argentina.
That's
I saw
pretty
the
close.
Backstreet Boys, which was,
You
the best
did.
way.
That's
Checked it off in 2020, but
yes.
yeah, I
That's
I miss it.
crazy. How was that show? How many times have you seen the back? They're your favorite, right? Are they like
They're
your
my
greatest, like
favorite.
your goat?
them and yes, them and Britney, but I love them before I love Britney, and they're so different. Okay.
Yeah.
Millennium Tour, Black and Blue Tour, twice in Vegas, In a World Like This tour, once in Miami in a small little show, and then Argentina. I think that's it. I want to say 7. 7
Oh my God. Yeah. That's how I am with Aerosmith. Aerosmith is actually my greatest of all time for me.
Well, it's funny you say that because AJ of the Backstreet Boys said that if he could or could have collaborated with anyone, it was Aerosmith. And Aerosmith actually did the Super Bowl halftime show with NSYNC and Britney. So I wish it would have been
right.
That was 2001.
I was so jealous. I was so jealous. That was like, I was like, oh my God, Britney Spears is so lucky right now. Plus I loved her too. So it was like that also was one of my favorite halftime shows.
I want to say that was Tampa maybe. And I think Nelly was there also. That was another good show. Yeah, I went to Argentina in March.
That was my big time concert days.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good timing though. Oop, I had to fix my thing here.
Well, it's funny because they were, oh, you're good. The week they were just on a whole South America tour, and my concert I think was on a Saturday, and that following weekend I think they were in Brazil, I want to say, and they canceled it. So if I was 1 week off, if my show was 1 week later, it would have been completely canceled. So
oh my God, that would have stung.
Really lucked out there. So
yeah. That was my thing. We were going to try to make it happen to go see Aerosmith in Vegas this year. One of my girlfriends at work did and said it was awesome. And then I was like, all right, we're going to do it. That's going to be our thing. We'll do it for June. And then not happening. I know. But
Vegas, like the residencies, they are usually, I mean, I've only been to the ones at Planet Hollywood. The venue is so small and intimate compared to these big arenas or these big stadiums. So there's not a bad seat in the entire place. It's really, really special.
That's got to just be so
great.
We'll
go see Usher in July 2021.
We'll get our whole marketing Twitter section, our pop-up chat.
Yes. Yes. That's the plan. That is the plan.
Oh, man. So I have a question for you.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
So you work at UF, right? You're an instructor?
Yes.
And so like, did you start doing like pop chat and all that before, after? Like, how did that start?
I guess you could say during. I'm coming in January, actually. January and January is the anniversary for both pop chat and teaching for me. So that's kind of funny. But pop chat will be 1 year old in January, and then I'll have been teaching for 3 years in January. So it was like 2 years later that I started it. But I got into the teaching because I was a student in the program first, and it was all online, even pre-COVID. I've been to UF's campus maybe 3 times. So it's really nice that I could just do it remotely, and it's given me that flexibility. And I also really enjoy it and feel lucky to have it because it is so flexible. So I kind of work on that part-time where the rest of the time I'm building my podcast, I'm trying to blog and put myself out there and just figure things out. I mean, I haven't really like monetized any of that yet, but I'm like, maybe there's a way to do it in the future. Maybe I'll get a sponsorship for the podcast, which I haven't figured out, but it's allowed me to feel like I have gainful, reliable employment while I can still build in the interim. So it's been really great to have that. But I know you've started a blog. Let's chat about that. Yeah.
I did. And I have not even, oh my gosh, I haven't done one in a while, but like, I'm still kind of trying to figure out like what I want to, like the hard part is, or the hardest part since I've really been like writing stuff is just like, what can you do over and over again for a topic, right? So I'm like, well, I like the runnings. The running is consistently on my mind all the time.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I also kind of want to write about marketing. I want to write about like data stuff. Like I just so much I want to talk about that I get kind of like, all right, what do I do next?
Yeah. And then it's like, who is my audience? Is it runners? Is it marketers? You're kind of all over the place. Yeah. I mean, if I've learned anything just combining, because I went through that too. I had this blog that was just all fun pop culture stuff. It didn't have anything, I guess, educational about it at all. It had nothing to do with marketing. It was just like, oh, here's a recap of this concert I went to or whatever. And
right. Yeah.
and then I had a separate blog that was like, this is freelancer Brienne. This is where she's professional and she talks about, clients and everything she's doing. And I was like, this is exhausting. I have all these different versions of myself. And it wasn't until, you're going to laugh because I keep bringing up the Backstreet Boys, but it wasn't until I wrote this blog post on the pop culture blog that was the first time that it had a little bit of a marketing angle to it. I compared how the Backstreet Boys album from 2019 was promoted and went to #1 versus 1999 when they had Millennium and it went to #1 and they had TRL and they didn't have social media. And I kind of did like a compare and contrast of that. And what happened was I ended up dropping the link to that in a Backstreet Boys Facebook group that I'm in. And I connected with this girl, Danielle, who, if you've seen Fangirls Night Out, she's one of the girls on there.
Yes. She was on the thing last week, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I connected with her. I didn't know her at all, but she's like, hey, I'm a huge Backstreet Boys fan too, but I also have my own business where she's not really a coach, but she consults makers and like Etsy shop owners. So if you have any type of handmade business that you're trying to get off the ground, she consults people on that. And she had a podcast about that whole thing that she's like, I also incorporate the Backstreet Boys into my show just because I love them and my members love it as well. So she invited me on her podcast. It was the first time I'd ever been on a podcast to talk about that blog post. And I got off that podcast and I was like, that's the most fun I've ever had in a conversation.
That's awesome.
I felt like myself. I was talking about two things that I love. She was so easy to talk to. And that's when the light bulb went off. Like, maybe I can do this weird overlap. Maybe there is an audience of people who are marketers, but also like pop culture, of course. Like, we all have personality. So I just started like packaging marketing advice in this pop culture angle. So I think you'd be surprised. All of that is to say that there may be more overlap than you might think in certain ways with your niche. So
and then I think it's still, that's a good point though. And then it's still like then narrowing it down because like you said, like there's like this version and this version, and like the stuff with the running in that. I had most of the audience was like my friends and family because they kind of wanted to know how I did it. And then I've just, kind of put it on Twitter where it's public. But I think like I had like these thoughts about like things I had just been thinking about for a year and a half. And then they kind of all came out in those first blog posts. But then it's like, okay, well now I'm thinking new thoughts about like, well, it's been 2 years now. It's like, what do I learn? I don't know. I just, there's so many ideas, not enough time.
Well, congratulations on your whole running evolution and your weight loss.
Thanks.
Let's talk about that for a second. Let's give some kudos to you and just how far you've come on that.
I know. Thank you. Thanks. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's crazy because like that was one thing that, and I actually approached just all of this marketing and Twitter and all that the same way. It was kind of like, well, I'm going to do this race. I'm not a runner yet at that point. I'm just going to do this race because I wanted to do the race. And then once I did, it was kind of like, well, now I kind of become a runner. And my intention, I guess my overall intention was that would happen. But I was like, I'm just going to start running and see what happens. It just, one thing always leads to another. So and even my original intentions on Twitter, like I feel like when I started going on Twitter, it was like, I'm going to get 10,000 followers. That was literally the first thing. And now I'm like, I don't even know how people engage with that many people. Like I get one decent tweet and I'm like on my phone all day.
It's exciting. It's
real.
But I guess you can kind of compare them. Like it's still like exercising a muscle, like getting out there,
Yeah.
hitting the pavement every day, just tweeting every day.
Yep.
It's establishing that habit. I've been able to establish a Twitter habit a lot more easily than running. So that's awesome for you. I'm just amazing.
Thanks.
I'm just sitting on my ass a lot more than I was before. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's kind of
But
like
then it's kind of like any habit, right? Like it's hard to
Mhm.
establish any habit. But
Yeah.
and even with social media, I feel like Twitter is easier for me than Instagram. I don't do
Yes.
Facebook. I don't, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
even with like it just comes naturally. I'd rather just say stuff all day.
Yeah. I I'm with you. That's how I feel, like, if I can just say what I'm thinking versus, like, say what I'm thinking, but also have a beautiful image or graphic to go with it, like, I
I
don't
know.
have anything interesting to show everyone, but maybe my thoughts are sometimes interesting. It's just so much easier to
Totally.
kind of, like, comment on what you're doing and what you're observing versus always show it. Like, this is not and I
It
don't
really
like
does feel like you're kind of like in a bar. Yeah. Like
Right,
everybody's
right.
just chatting.
Yeah, Christina, Garnett the other day tweeted, she was like, "If you could be verified on any platform, what would it be?" And I don't know, I kinda think of I thought of Matt Kobach when I said this actually. I said, "Definitely Twitter because 'cause I'd rather be, verified for how I for my thoughts and my photos," you know?
Yep.
So, let's see what people are
Yep.
saying.
Yeah,
Uh
I agree with that.
Thank you for the
What's this?
podcast, love. She started a podcast. Oh, I have a blog about film and television and started a podcast about it, but it was exhausting, so I paused it. But I also have a health and fitness blog on Instagram, and they all really feed into my creativity and my work. That's awesome. To give you some background,
That's
I didn't
good.
really set out to start a podcast. I just had the blog, and I said, you know what? Maybe some people would prefer to listen to these. So I just started
Yeah.
recording myself reading my blog posts, trying not to sound like I'm reading, but I tried to, incorporate some natural
Oh,
rhythm there.
really? That's
Yeah,
smart.
they're all just me reading.
Yeah.
If it's a solo episode, I'm reading. So there's my little secret. Um, so I did that first just to get comfortable
Maybe
with
I'll
it.
do that next.
Yeah, it's just one more place
Yeah.
to get your content. So, and the episodes, they were super short because it's just a blog post. They by the time I read them, it would be like 6 minutes here, 7 minutes there. But it really helped me get comfortable just with editing, listening to
Yep.
myself talk, figuring out what I'm doing and how to actually distribute this into the world. And it helped me build the confidence to actually start interviewing people because I still get tripped up when I interview people sometimes, but um, yeah, it just helped me kind of get my foot in the door without taking on too much at once. So, Jesse, if you're
Yeah.
already blogging and if you're kind of micro blogging on Instagram, I'm sure all of your posts are future podcast episodes that you can just elaborate on. So definitely think about it.
Maybe I'll do that next. That'll kind of jumpstart me as but like
Yeah.
but I like what she said there too about, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing also helps me with work because
Mhm.
I'm in operations. Like I'm not brand, I'm not
Mhm.
necessarily you know what I mean? Like I work a
Yeah.
lot with everybody, but I'm usually more of like the back scenes where I'm just kind of looking at the data. So me having to doing the blog by myself, it's like, oh wow, I have to
Mhm.
like promote it. That's super
Yes.
difficult for anybody, right? Is the self
Mhm.
promotion. And then how do I get people there? Like, is it
Mhm.
is it my blog? Is it just my blog? So do you find that you have more people listening to your like what would you say gets more like traction? Is it the blog or the podcast, you think?
I think initially people kind of find me for my blog and they kind of get somewhat interested there. And then I have all of the podcast episodes embedded on each blog post so they could play it as well.
Oh,
I
that's
think they
smart.
kind of
Okay.
learn about
Yep.
me, become like aware of my brand, whatever you want to call it, like through the website and through Twitter and stuff first. And
Yeah.
then I think as maybe they see my tweets or see my content, or if I share a link to an episode of someone I've interviewed, then they're like, oh, yeah, I've kind of seen her stuff. Let me check out the podcast. Um, so I think that might be how it's working, but I don't know. I think if
Yeah.
you're already writing a blog post, why not just record it? You know, it's just one more place.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
So I actually
It
have
is
an idea.
interesting though, like even how like people's can. Oh, yep.
No, go.
Oh no,
Go
go
ahead.
go go. What?
I was gonna say I have an idea for
No,
you.
I was just
So,
thinking like, ooh.
oh no, go. I think maybe we have a little bit of a delay. I will hold my idea. I won't forget it. You go.
I think I forgot what I was going to say now.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Thank you guys. Hold on. Everyone's just talking about running really quick. Yeah, I feel the struggle. And I live in South Florida, Dakota. Like I could go for a run right now. It's beautiful out and I won't freeze to death. I have no excuses. So let's see. I'm only running if there was something chasing me. And hi, Christine. Okay, so the idea I have for you, I don't know much about data science, but I imagine you enjoy numbers. Is that a
Oh,
fair
yes.
statement? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like with running and fitness, there
Mm-hmm.
you are just so much more likely to take on that habit or build a habit if you have numbers and data to help you set and measure your goals. And that's something that I'm like, "Oh, did I forget to turn on my run on my Apple Watch?" Like, I completely forget about it, and I think you might have a chance to have some overlap there, where you can talk
Yeah.
about how to truly measure your running goals and, different apps you can use. You could write about, your VO2 max, data and I don't know, all that stuff, but just how to use, um, metrics to become a better runner. Do you do anything like that now? Do you use any apps or
You know, it's funny.
Mhm,
So I when there's definitely a connection here with like work. So
mhm,
kind of when I started the running, I also was working on like this huge project at work
mhm,
and with metrics obviously, and like the one thing I learned through all of this is that like you really don't need that many metrics. You need like a couple really good ones that you're going to track.
mhm, mhm.
um Even with marketing, right? Like you can't look at everything. There's so, especially now, there's so much data that you could be
Mhm.
tracking. It's overwhelming.
Yeah,
But I think that like with the running too, it's more of like the consistency, and
yeah.
that's it. Like I don't track what I eat anymore. I don't
Mhm.
stress out about I mean I have to stress out about diet when I start gaining weight, but like I don't like those types of things. Like my real focus is like, did I run? How do I
Yeah.
feel? And then
Mhm.
that kind of works its way into everything else, you know?
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
I do think like even with the marketing thing, it's like you could be measuring a million different points of data, but
Mhm.
what is the actual goal? And
Yeah,
then what data do you need to actually measure that goal?
yeah. See, I'm
And
interested.
it's
You already you just incorporated marketing, data, and running all into one little
hey,
conversation.
this might be maybe
Maybe
this is a very good idea.
I mean, I feel like that's what I tell everyone is just like, "Oh, just combine everything. There's a way to make it work." And, I might be fooling myself there that most people can't do that, but I do feel like there's an appetite for runners who just don't really have a system in place, don't really know like, "Okay, what is consistency? How many days a
Yeah.
week should I be running? How long should I be running? If my goal is to run, 5 miles without getting winded by, if that's my New Year's
Yeah.
resolution, what is the system to get there?" So I don't know, I think you could provide a lot
You
of
know
value.
what's crazy? So after I ran the initial race, the only goal that I had was to stay doing it. There was
Mhm.
no, mileage. There wasn't another
Yeah,
race. I don't even really like racing.
yeah.
It was just like just continue. And now I actually
Mhm,
just looked at my metrics for this year because I really don't. Surprisingly, I don't really look at them that often.
mhm,
And even like last year, so it's 2 years now, I consistently run on average 3 days a week for 3.5 miles.
mhm. Wow. Yeah.
Some days, like in the summer, it's less because it's too
Yeah.
hot. In the winter,
Yeah,
it's more, but
yeah,
overall, 3.5 miles, 3 days a week is like,
yeah. Mhm.
which isn't that much, it's like a
It's more
mile
than
a
I'm
day.
doing. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't do that once a week without dying. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone's saying, yeah, it's all about tracking the data. Ooh, sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of these different things are factors, and
Oh
you
man,
can even
sleep.
like review
Yep.
like all the devices that are out there. I just think, a
Yeah,
lot of
that's a good
people
point.
start a fitness goal and they don't have a plan as far as how they're going to tell if they're improving. And actually, the when I worked at Orange Theory, the creator of the
That's a good point.
workout, her name is Ellen Latham. She would always say, you can't improve what you can't meaure. And I feel like with running especially, it's like, "Oh, I'll just go outside and run. I don't need to
My
know."
boss says that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know where she
That's so
got it from,
true.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so I
Yeah,
don't
that's a
know.
good point. Maybe that'll be my next, maybe that'll be my project for my PTO project.
Mhm. There you go. Yeah. Let's see. Gail says you could do a blog about how to read data because consumers are now given all these tools to track different metrics. Yeah, we don't know
Yeah.
what to do with it. Or maybe that's just me, but
Yep.
yeah, I'm not big. But the average consumer doesn't know how to analyze data. Exactly. Um, yeah,
Yep.
she was
Good
also
point.
asking what type of data analysis do you do for your job?
Pretty much mostly marketing. It's
Mhm,
so we like I'm responsible for like tracking our pipeline, making sure that it's measured correctly by how we
mhm,
measure it. We started doing like more like multi-touch attribution and account-based marketing and all of that. So,
mhm. Nice.
but that also it's like that like you have like the one thing that you measure all the time, the pipeline for marketing for us.
Mhm,
So that's like our baseline and then everything else is off of it. So it's like I have thought about this a little bit. Like if my base goal is that I just keep running, but
mhm.
now when I keep running, I eat better, I am happier, I sleep better. Like
Yes.
everything kind of builds off of that one consistent thing.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
bet there's
getting some ideas here, guys.
yeah, yeah, and I would say that that's the same for Twitter, maybe just marketing in general or content creation in general, but
Totally. Yep.
tweet once a day, it's all a very slow process to
Yep.
build, but, you know, you might have I mean, it's like Pop Chat, right? My first Pop Chat, I had 3 people join. Dakota was one of them, thank you. Uh,
Dakota, he was on
yeah,
there, right?
he was an OG, yes. I only had 3 people, and I just said, "All right, this is still my goal, just to show up Fridays at 1 o'clock and see if anything happens," and that consistency paid off,
Yep.
but it was getting that reward, of, "Hey, 3 people showed up, that's 3 new people that I'm
Yep.
learning from." I'm comparing that to how you said you sleep better. There's, like, all these other just different advantages, that started
Right.
happening through connecting with these people and just creating every day. So you might not get a ton of,
Yeah.
traction the first time, but if you keep at it, you'll see those benefits build. Oh, thanks, Dakota.
Pure chance.
Um,
Oh, that's nice.
so weight, I guess, is a good thing to track, but what I've noticed the most is my resting heart rate and how that's dropped so much. I love data. A marketer's dream is just all the data, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe there is some overlap there. I'm just saying.
I know. I mean,
We'll figure it out.
I'm gonna have to read Jesse's blog now. I didn't know. I don't think I've ever read it, but I'm definitely going
Yeah,
to now. We're fairly new friends on Twitter. I know that we comment on each other's stuff. I think maybe like the past month or so.
mhm. Yeah,
I have
please.
so many new followers from Christina's marketing Twitter post.
Oh,
Which,
that was the best.
oh my god, it was so great. It was so great.
Like the mayor of marketing Twitter, or the queen, as I call her. Jesse, give us the link to your blog. We definitely wanna
Yeah, can she put
oh,
it in there, or it's probably on her? I'll definitely look at her Twitter.
yeah, not yet, but please do. Um, which I guess that reminds me, does anyone have any writing goals for 2021? Do you have any writing goals? What are you thinking about?
God. See, I don't know. Like so I did I did the weight loss stuff. Then I started writing some other stuff, like more just stories that I wanted to maybe share with the kids someday, things like
Mhm.
that. That it's
Yeah,
not nothing public, but just more family stuff, family
yeah.
stories. But
It's so good to
I
just
I do
talk.
like doing the blog though too. It's fun.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah,
I
I
know.
don't
I
know.
don't know. I got to think.
I think you'll figure it out. Does anyone else have any advice for Michelle? as bloggers, as new bloggers.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone revive your blogs. And I've found personally that
Awesome.
going through the trouble of writing long form content is going to be like the best investment you could make, because that long form content,
It
as you
really
know,
is.
can turn into a podcast, can turn into a video. You could take one point out of that blog and it's a tweet, or it's just the gift that keeps on giving.
Yep.
But also on that end, a lot of times I'll get inspiration for my podcast based on something that I tweet. So it's kind of like this like small little idea first. I'm like, let me just tweet that out. And then thankfully people like you guys will say something else interesting about it and just make me keep thinking. And then, all right, let me just blog about that and expand upon it. So yeah, I need to start writing on my website again.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Dakota.
We
So
need to.
I have a question for you, Brianne.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about consistency and everything that you do, which you have to have some sort of method that you kind of follow, right? To get every week to have pop chat and every week you do a blog almost every week, right? At least your newsletter, I pretty much do.
That's okay. Yeah. I, in theory, blog every week and podcast every week, but it definitely doesn't happen. If you even go back and look, I have 2 weeks will go by, 3 weeks, or just like once a month. The only thing that I've been super consistent and non-negotiable about are pop chat, because I've promised that I'm going to be there, and that's why
You
it's
can't
grown
stop pop chat.
what it has. Yeah, that I need accountability more than anyone. That's my biggest problem. That's why I don't know if you've seen, I've had some calls with Joe Chuck. He's been helping me. I actually printed out this like weekly schedule that I'm trying to stick to. And I was supposed to record a podcast yesterday, and then at the last minute I had to babysit my nephew in a jam. So that didn't happen. So now I'm feeling behind. But pop chat and my newsletter or just a weekly email of some sort are two things that I really don't waver on, because I know if I let 2 weeks, 3 weeks go by on my email list, I know the next time that I email, I'm going to get a bunch of unsubscribes. So I'm like, I've worked to get people here somehow.
Yeah.
This is my biggest priority, to keep them there. But that's really my big goal for 2021, is just really getting super consistent with the blog and the podcast, and just seeing where that goes, and writing more just in general. So I wish I had more of a system. But it's funny though, because when I blog, that also means I have a podcast episode. So it works out nice. So if anyone has systems or any tips for consistency, let us know.
Yeah, or like,
let's see. I do a lot of mini threads, because one tweet isn't enough to say everything. So that's why I'm thinking it's time yes. So that is another great point, because I don't know. It's kind of like this unspoken rule on Twitter, like not to share links. I've heard people say a lot, like links don't do well. People are on Twitter to be on Twitter. They don't necessarily want to bounce away.
Right.
I think there are exceptions for that, but that's one thing I've noticed is if I just share a link to my blog post, it doesn't really get anything. Whereas if I take all the points in that blog post and turn it into a thread, that's how you kind of reel people in and get them interested. And then the last tweet of the thread, I'll put the link to the blog post, which
that's
usually
a good idea.
More information, because I'm tweeting in 280 characters or whatever, where I can expand more on the blog. But it's like, yeah, if you're going to blog, take the best pieces of that blog and give it to people on Twitter, because they're not going to click if you don't make them interested.
Yeah. Did you read I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but Melanie, is it
the content fuel framework? I have it. I started it. I didn't.
Okay. I didn't know if you recommended. I did that. That's really good actually too, because it kind of like what you're talking about, but she has a workbook that goes with it.
Oh, okay.
And the workbook was really cool, because it was like, okay, well, you have this, now you can make, do the podcast, and then just all these ideas of just different things. So
Yeah, everyone check
But
out
I should
Dakota.
do that. Maybe my next step will be like to just go back to my blogs that I've written and figure out what other types of content I can make from there, or
There's definitely
that's the next
threads
step.
in there that you could pull out. Let's see.
Yeah,
Dakota says my biggest struggle with consistent blogging was when I found myself writing just to have something to post rather than having something I was actually interested. Yes,
same.
Dakota. I actually was consulting with a nonprofit that did this exact thing, but with their emails. Oh my gosh, they had this weekly email that went out and it was called the top 5, and they would just find the biggest non-stories just to complete, oh, we need 5 things, and it was just the most boring compilation of 5
Yeah,
things. They didn't have a reason. They were just spamming their audience at that point with any 5 things that they could scrounge up just because they felt like, "Oh my god, we have to do the top 5 today." Like, I think people forget that having someone's email address is a privilege, and if someone willingly
yeah.
signs up and says, "Yes, you can contact me," you better not squander it by sending them junk. So,
And that's something too with the blog that I've taken into my role at work is that it's really hard to get someone's email address. So when you do, you need to kind of
yeah,
protect it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Dakota, I feel like with blogging, it's your space. It's much more lenient than the example that I just said with like showing up in someone's email with having nothing to say. But
Yeah.
I also feel like this is kind of part of the process of starting a blog is, um, just kind of, well, no, I do feel like you need like that full jolt of inspiration and, to feel inspired. But I think it's just also not having it all figured out at first and just
Right.
kind of seeing
Trying
what
different
sticks.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
the newsletter for me was something also that I think I should never have started because
Oh, yeah.
everybody's like, get emails and whatever. So I started that. Then I'm like, okay, now I have to have a newsletter. And it's like, well,
Mhm.
the newsletter, like, then you have to be consistent. It's like, well, now I don't know. Like, I'm busy at work. I don't have time to do this right now, So like that
Yes.
kind of through when maybe I just need to get back to, I just enjoy blogging. I just need to start blogging
Mhm.
again,
Yeah.
just writing.
I mean, for me, I don't know how this happened, but we started, I feel like, calling everything that's an email a newsletter. Like people call my email a
True.
newsletter. And
Yeah,
I
because I did not have a newsletter, actually. You're right.
I mean, some people really do. I consider a newsletter to be a lot more just comprehensive and robust than whatever I'm sending people. I send just like musings, like a thought of the day.
I always read yours, I swear.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
it's really
Thank
good.
And yeah, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves when we call it a newsletter because to me, it just sounds more daunting. I have to have this
It
huge
is. Yeah.
thing. Um, I kind of approached
And I
my.
guess too, like for,
Go ahead.
yep, no, go, yep.
No, 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 you go. I want to hear you.
We have a delay. Well, like with Dakota too, like I see the stuff that he does, and I'm like, it's almost like I just needed a website to put stuff that's just not a tweet.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
like whether it's a blog or if I do like some sort of podcast, like you just
Mhm.
kind of need like a house to put all your stuff on the
Yeah,
internet,
you
you know?
do. And it still blows my mind that we don't default to that, like having a place to actually own and have a home, like you said, for our stuff, because it's just so much easier just to tweet here and
Yeah.
there. But once you go through that, I mean, again, that's also the gift that keeps on giving is to have your own space. And then when you can start building an email list and you own your
Yep.
audience, it's just always worth that investment. I feel like more people should have personal websites than they do.
I agree.
Uh, Gotta be pragmatic from the outset in the facet of nobody really cares. Yeah,
That's true.
you have to make people care. You have to
Yep.
realize that if you
That's
have
marketing though, right? I mean, yeah.
it's so yeah, it is just a fact. I read
Yeah.
this book actually. Um, it ended up being really short. I don't remember it very well, but it was by Stephen Pressfield, I want to say, who's I believe wrote The War of Art, if anyone's read that. Let me just make sure
I
I'm
have not.
Let's see. You guys are
No.
gonna laugh. Yeah, it's by Stephen Pressfield, and it's called Nobody
Mhm.
Wants to Read Your Shit. It's the name of the book.
I gotta look
And
that
it's
up.
true. It's so true. Nobody wants to like stop whatever they're doing and read your stuff, so you better make it interesting. Um,
Yep.
and I feel
That's
like that's a
funny.
lot of pressure from a personal standpoint is how do I make my life or my experience sound interesting? But it definitely, I don't know, takes
Right.
practice. We all figure it out.
It does
So,
take a lot of practice. But that is like my biggest marketing lesson of the year was that it takes a lot of effort to get anybody to pay attention to you. You know,
mhm,
whether it's again that consistency, whether it's Twitter or
yeah,
Instagram or were you interesting? Did someone miss your email? Like there's just so
right.
much you have to do to promote yourself. It's a lot of
Yeah.
work.
It's like attention is
Yeah,
earned, like you might have one tweet
for
that
sure.
goes viral or you get attention on one thing, but you haven't really like earned that attention or that follow unless you have that consistency where you're consistently showing people that you are worth their time.
Yeah. You have to be consistently great,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
really hard.
so much pressure, which is why
Yeah.
I'm not on Instagram. Like I said, I mean, I'm on Instagram, but I don't have consistently great stuff to show people. I don't think. I don't know, unless I just share throwback photos all day long, which
Well,
maybe I will do. I don't know.
you could just do all of your Backstreet Boys concert photos like as stories every day.
I wish I had a lot. I've gotta, like, dig up some disposable cameras.
Yeah.
I always try to remember the law of 2 fee. If you're not entertaining or educate or en blah, if you're not entertaining or educating, people will use their own 2 feet and go somewhere else. Oh, sorry, 2 feet. Sorry. Law of 2 feet. Yeah,
That makes
exactly.
sense.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah.
But that's something too, like, because I do B2B, B2B marketing, but that's something too where it's like, it's really obvious when you like are, when you're doing marketing for different products and that, when you take a little off of this one, you're not going to get the attention. Like it shows in the numbers. So,
Mhm. And with B2B, there's always a competitor. There's always
oh my God,
another
always.
business that they could just easily go to. Yeah,
Yep.
I don't if I'm okay if my blogs don't go viral or have thousands of followers. What's great is when people tell me I inspire them. That's enough reward for me,
Me
but I
too.
do it
Yeah.
for my own accountability. I just want my work accounts to be successful. Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's the right mindset, Jesse.
Yeah.
Um, that reminds me, it's funny when I started blogging and sharing my links places, um, I always had, like, that weird, concern about, like, what are people from high school gonna think of this? Like, who does she think she is, like,
Oh,
writing
yeah.
like this? And I actually had like, I was super self-conscious about just, like, people that I actually knew, like, judging me,
Yep.
and the opposite happened. Like, I had people from high school that I hadn't spoken to in years feel compelled to reach out to me and say, "Hey, I
Yep.
read your post. I loved it because XYZ." Or, I had one guy reach out to me that was starting his own like printing business and like had questions about that, which I don't know how well I guided him, but it was still like
Wow.
nice to connect with people that you thought completely forgot about you, that you thought didn't care, that you thought were
Yep.
just old acquaintances. And writing has the power to do that. So that's awesome, Jesse. Great to hear it.
That's really true. And this year too, I notice a lot of people are doing some sort of self-promotion, whether it's writing or, Instagram, like people are working on getting themselves out there. And that's fun to watch too, like friends from high school as well. You do
Mhm.
definitely do connect more when you start making stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, captions alone nowadays are just, people they turn
Yep.
into blogs for some people. So I
Yep.
think that's a great lesson if you're stuck on where to start, what to write about. Just go through your Instagram feed. I'm sure there's a story there, something you can elaborate on.
Totally.
Um, awesome. I love all this blog talk. Any other
I know,
questions
it's great.
or for me? I mean, I've been trying to keep these pop-up chats to 30 minutes just because they're so
Oh,
impromptu.
we did? Sorry.
You've been so interesting to talk to, and we have a lot of people here still watching. So, yeah,
It's
guys, anything
probably all my family.
which is great. Everyone's invited. Hello to the Kings, I guess. Family.
The Kings and the Sullivans. Hi, everybody.
Hello, guys.
Hey, Dad.
When I come over to Naples, we could all have lunch. It'll be awesome.
Absolutely.
So,
oh my God, it'll be fun.
If anyone doesn't have any other questions or anything else you want to add, where can people find you, or just, I don't know, any closing thoughts for 2021?
Probably Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. My gosh, what a crazy year. I guess if anybody, I guess my advice would be, if anybody wants to start anything, I actually wrote a blog about this, but if you want to start something, just start it. We don't even necessarily have the goal that you have to be the best blogger or the best runner, or just start doing something.
Yeah. You don't need anyone's permission.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Permission. And in fact, if you wait for someone to give you permission, you'll never start. Or consider this permission.
You're never going to get it. Everybody has permission.
Yes. We actually demand you all start something because you guys are too creative. I think that speaking to a variety of topics is actually better than single topics when you're branding it as a personal brand. All of the things together are more authentically you. Exactly, Dakota. I like that. You know, we're not one-dimensional people. I've just really enjoyed getting to know you all on marketing Twitter. Awesome. Jesse, I saw your Instagram link.
That's really nice.
Somewhere. I'm trying to find it. I'll find it and make sure I'm following you. But this was such a pleasure. I'm glad we've had some video calls before with
fun.
That crew till 1 a.m. sometimes, but I'm glad
I know, never one-on-one. Yeah.
Never one-on-one. That's what these are for. So whoever wants to pop on the next one.
Absolutely.
This might be I do have one next Wednesday. So this isn't the last one of the year, but thank you.
This was fun, Brianne. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for following me and for being part of
the
Pop Chat fam. Wait, what is AD? Pop Chat? Is that like a cool term? Pop Chat.
What's AD, Dakota?
Oh, After Dark. It's definitely After Dark.
Yes. Pop Chat After Dark.
I wasn't even in the club for a second. Yeah, definitely.
On that note.
Yes. Everyone go out, start your thing, just wing it. Send me the links. I'll read it. I'll watch it. Thanks, Gail. Thanks, Christine.
Thank you, Brianne, for giving me the opportunity to be on your show. And I love everything that you do. You've made my year great. I swear. Yep.
Well, we'll have to meet up in Naples, and a drink is on me somewhere. Maybe we'll go to Pelican Larry's. That's the only bar I know, or restaurant I know of.
Let's do it.
Pelican Larry's. Can't forget that.
I love pelicans, so.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, guys.
All right, Brianne. See you later.
Bye.